5 a.m., I'm up with a crisp Celsius energy drink. Running 12 miles today. Grab a green juice, quick change, and head to work. Meetings, workshops. One more Celsius, no slowing down. Working late, but obviously still meeting the girls for a little dancing. Celsius. Live, fit, go. Grab a cold, refreshing Celsius at your local retailer or locate now at Celsius.com.
I think NYC Newswire in particular will change hyperlocal news in New York City. And I can see NYC Newswire being a newswire that people are using from all over the world, where if they're trying to come to New York City or reach the New York market. But our goal is really the small businesses and small agencies, connecting them actually to the people in their neighborhoods.
This is Small Press, Big Ideas, a podcast about the business of local news in the United States. I'm your host, Paul Gewertz. Small Press, Big Ideas is about the opportunities and challenges that local news publishers are facing for their businesses. I'll sit down and talk with journalists, entrepreneurs, nonprofit leaders, and more in the local news industry to find out what's working, what isn't, and how the local news ecosystem can innovate and flourish in the 21st century. All right. Today on the podcast, I'm joined by Vernon Jones. Vernon is the founder and CEO of NYC Newswire and NYC News Network. I think they're kind of different things. We'll get into that in a minute. And also the CEO of Jig Media, obviously in New York City. So Vernon, great to meet you, man, face to face. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on, Paul.
Yeah. So I kind of open the podcast in the same way most times. I just this is our first time meeting. Tell me and the audience just a little bit about your background, your career, and kind of what it is you do.
All right. So I guess I'm considered a career entrepreneur. I have a degree in accounting, but I'll give you a real overview really quick from the beginning. I started a business when I was 20 years old, cleaning office buildings in New York City, from one small office to major office buildings in Manhattan. And we grew that to about 35 employees. And then I sold it after about 15 years. And I started dabbling into domain names. I have friends that were engineers and they told me about the domain names. And so years ago, I started grabbing the domain names because it made sense. Things like nycteachers.com, nycbasketball.com. Of course, I'm in New York City, so I wanted to get everything New York City. And from there, I launched nycfootball.com, NYC basketball, and we're covering high school football and basketball in New York City throughout the whole city. And then we eventually turned it into New York City Sports Network, a New York City Sporting News newspaper, print. And we had the newspaper in all of the high schools in New York City. From there, we just turned everything into digital, and it kind of, morphed into what it is now. Before I knew it, I'd had 7 websites in all New York City, then 10. And that's how we got to where I am. And what I did, we put everything together. It was really just so hard to really run all of the sites because you needed writers and obviously, photographers, et cetera. So that's where the technology started coming in. That's where the technology came in.
Oh, sorry, I interrupted you. That's cool. I remember the domain name hustle back in the day. I never really got into it. I didn't have money at the time to be buying them, unless I could get them for like $5 or something like that. But I relate to that. It's also funny you say that you had the basketball newspaper, because this podcast is a lot about local news, local media, and something people forget about a lot is how important like local sports are. Like, you can be reporting on city council or whatever, but if people see their kid's name, for like the local high school team or whatever, you can really drive a lot of eyeballs that way and get people paying attention to it. So that's cool. That's kind of how you came into it.
Yeah.
And when I kind of reached out to you, I kind of reached out about you coming on the podcast, got seen you on LinkedIn and stuff. And you said, it might be a good time to come on because you just launched the NYC News Network. So let's dig into that a little bit, man. What is NYC News Network and NYC Newswire? I'm not sure if they're the same or different, but tell me a little bit about.
All right, so let's start with NYC Newswire. NYC is a newswire for New York City, just like any PR newswire, Globe Newswire, whatever it would be, but is strictly for New York City news. Again, I'm a New York City guy, New York City native, born and raised. And I think New York City is a great place. It's like the capital of the world as far as media. So what better place to start or to launch a newswire than NYC? So NYC Newswire is a place where businesses, local businesses, or any business that trying to have an event, promote their brand, whatsoever, they post to NYC Newswire. And what we do is, since we own multiple digital media platforms and we have editors for the different platforms, when a client posts to, or it could be anyone, well, a client posts to NYC Newswire, not only is it available to all news outlets, but our NYC News Network editors know they look at NYC Newswire every day to find content. That's the first place they look, is to find content for whether it's NYCpolitics.com, Healthy NYC. So we have editors for each. They go into first thing in the morning, they look at NYC Newswire, see what's there from the wire, they grab it, and they turn it into the content for the editorial for their particular vertical on the platform. So NYC News Network, that's where we combined all of our digital media platforms, hyperlocal. Everything's hyperlocal, different industries, different neighborhoods. And that is where everything is together. We're creating a network of sites. Additionally, we started out with only our own sites, but now it looks like we're getting ready to bring a college sports website under NYC News Network. It already exists, and we're partnering with the publisher of this college sports website because he needs more eyeballs. He's not generating any revenue. So it's hard. Like any hyperlocal platform that we see today is really hard individually, but under a network, his opportunities are better. And we look at this also as an example for the college sports New York City. We would actually help him generate revenue through the colleges directly, but he can still continue to do what he's doing as a publisher. So we work together. So we partner on that. And that's how we are making this work financially and through partnerships.
That's awesome. When you talk about the NYC News Network, and you say it goes out to like all the hyperlocal publications, that's kind of the ones you were talking about at the beginning, where you started one, then you started another one. They're all kind of under that same brand.
Right. They're all under NYC News Network. And so we start out with, like, we own NYC Education News, NYC Policy. And what we did was looked at the most important industries in New York City: health, education, politics, sports, law. So what we did is create those verticals as actually website. And we already owned the domain names because I've built them up throughout the years. Just thinking ahead, I didn't know it would lead into an actual network of sites,
Right.
But it has. So whenever we're looking to launch a site, I just go into our library of domain names that we own, and 9 times out of 10, we already own one of the domain names that we need to launch. So we start with industries, but then we also go to neighborhoods. Like we own eastnewyork.com, which is a neighborhood in Brooklyn that's really being developed. So it's important to everybody in the city because you have a lot of developers, businesses, the city itself, city agencies. So we own eastnewyork.com, and I grew up in East New York. It's one of the it's not one of the better neighborhoods, put it like that. Okay. So when I I owned that. I got that domain name because it just made sense. I said, East New York needs its own digital media platform where there's good news and not always bad news. We let everybody else have the bad news. And so we put on the good news. And we own ClintonHill.com, which is where I live now. And Clinton Hill is the opposite. It's one of the better neighborhoods in the city. And it's a great neighborhood. It's Clinton Hill and Fort Greene. Those are 2 great neighborhoods in New York City, all of New York City. So we have that. And that's the goal, really, to launch different media, hyperlocal media platforms throughout in different neighborhoods. Neighborhoods that may be high in politics, maybe high in development, whatever is that's really attractive.
That's great. And then I'm also just kind of still curious on that. So New York is kind of unique just because of the population density. And like
Mhm.
when you say by neighborhood, like there's are there 5 boroughs? I'm not sure how many boroughs there are. Would
Yep,
that be
fine.
like one for each borough for individual? Like I know there's so many neighborhoods in Manhattan or in Brooklyn or Queens or whatever. Is it more like what do you mean by hyperlocal? Like how big of an area would that cover? Does that
Okay,
make sense?
so
Yeah.
we own brooklynbuzz.com, and we also own domain names for the other 4 boroughs. So you hit it right on the head, really. So first we start with the boroughs. So we'll have the
Mm-hmm.
boroughs, but then within the boroughs, we'll have neighborhood sites.
Okay.
Some
Okay.
neighborhoods overlap, so we may only need one, but there are a lot of neighborhoods in New York City, in every borough. But our goal really is to grab the ones that overlap and make one, and then what we do is create the others. And it depends on where the demand is there, like where the demand, because there are some neighborhoods where they do get coverage. So if
Right.
a neighborhood is getting coverage, we're probably going to leave them, not worry about that neighborhood, because you'll have a website for Bushwick and they're
Mm-hmm.
getting coverage, they're covering it well, they're doing a good job. We're not interested in overlapping with that. So let them have it and let them do it. What we're doing is we're going out after the other neighborhoods that maybe have a weak presence on media or none at all. And another way the reason this started, I was talking to a political consultant, and she said we were talking about East New York and Brownsville. Brownsville is even harsher than East New York, but we were talking about Brownsville, and I said, "Well, you should cover Brownsville. You should go out and take a look at Brownsville." And her response was, "Oh, that's a digital desert. That's nobody's in Brownsville's online." And that is what made me. Those are the things that make me say, "Okay." So now, of course, I have BrownsvilleNews.org, and and that's how people think about some of these neighborhoods, and that's just not true. There's hyperlocal is important to every neighborhood, whether it's up the West Side or if it's Brownsville.
And that kind of irritates me too when people say like, "Oh, it's a digital desert. That's a news desert." Like, yeah, that's probably the people that need like information and stuff the most. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like, that's the
right.
reality of it. And I think you're doing it the right way too, because hyperlocal is where it's at, in my opinion. Especially in like a city like the size, New York's like almost its own country. You know, there's so many people there. That's the information that's really valuable to people. It's like in their neighborhood, and it's. I think it's harder to do with like one of those. But you've kind of got this network where it kind of makes more sense or makes it more kind of scalable to serve all those areas. So it's cool, kind of the model you have built out.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You told me kind of in our initial back and forth that you're looking to expand over 50 niche publications by the end of 2026.
Yeah.
I'm curious what those will look like and like where you're at now and how you're planning on kind of achieving that. Like what's that
So
look like?
right now we have 16. And we'll be adding 2 more. So the 2 that we're adding are college sports and NYC law news. Those are important because there's a lot of law firms would love to sponsor that. And really sponsoring, they're just paying to help us get an editor and some of our editors are actually equity owners in the different verticals.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
it depends. It's like a mix, because the goal is to get information out to the community. But like even let's say college sports, for instance, New York City has 10, 12 professional sports teams.
Right.
So high school is bigger than college sports, and high school in New York City receive no coverage anymore. Now,
Hmm.
since we combined everything with New York City Sports Network, but that's getting ready to change because we're bringing somebody in to cover high school sports. Because initially you had NYC basketball and NYC football separate, but now we brought them all together, and we're bringing in an editor who will cover high school sports. But college sports, for the New York City college teams, there's no media coverage at all. I mean, zero, unless they win a championship, and
Right.
then they'll get coverage for 5 minutes for the
Yeah.
whole year. So other than that, and New York has quite a few colleges. So
Yeah.
that's a market that's really just open, and no one is talking about the CUNY, City University of New York colleges like Brooklyn College or Baruch College, and they all have sports. They have swimming, basketball, baseball. So that's something that we are tapping into. And like I said, we're partnering with someone who actually has the website, one of the websites, and he was trying to cover it. He was having a hard time. So we're just going to partner with him.
This episode is brought to you by Peloton. Break through the busiest time of year with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. With real-time guidance and endless ways to move, you can personalize your workouts and train with confidence, helping you reach your goals in less time. Let yourself run, lift, sculpt, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
That's awesome. You're talking about like bringing editors on and stuff. What does that look like? Like the stat, like reporting, reporters, editors, whatever it is. Like, is that like one person per maybe neighborhood, or there's some overlap? What does that look like?
So that's it. So it's like one person per vertical, right?
Okay.
Whether it's the college sports or even if it's a neighborhood, but mostly the verticals, because let's say they're covering high school sports. Now we'll have eastnewyork.com, we'll have Fort Greene, we'll have some, neighborhoods in the Bronx. The high school sports are citywide. So if you're covering high school sports, you're going to touch all of them. Politics is citywide, so you'll touch everywhere in New York City. Every vertical, every industry is citywide. So that's where that overlap comes in. We may not need someone specifically for eastnewyork.com if there's so much overlap with politics, with sport. And politics, sports, health, that's where you get all the resources. That's where in the city agencies, that's where you get the resources and the press releases and the information. New York City is notorious for having great programs, but no one knows about the program. I mean, we're notorious for that. We have New York City has great programs, but when no one is using the program, they just cut the program. It could be a program to help kids with scholarships. It could be anything that you can imagine that would be good for the community. It pretty much exists in New York City in one of the agencies, but no one knows about it.
That's interesting. That's a great spot for exactly what you're doing to get the word out there about it and everything.
Right. And that's really what it is. Even, we even contact the city and say, hey, this would be great for you. I mean, if you're the city, wouldn't you want to be involved in NYC education news and get your information out in a positive way?
Yeah.
We're not looking for bad stories. The goal really is to get information out to the people. We're not looking for sensational headlines. Because we're not really, we have our clients are not looking for that. We actually have marketing clients. Our clients we provide marketing for them as well. So we can do the same thing for the city. And I'm not talking about marketing, I'm talking about marketing what they have, the great resources and the great programs.
You kind of talked about your clients there. What does the business model look like? On the Newswire, I would imagine people pay to get their listing out, but then for like NYC News Network, is it just kind of like digital ads, like subscriptions? What's like hitting the cash register for all of it?
Well, what really it is it's all connected to the Newswire, NYC Newswire. That's where the funds come in. And what we do is, since we have this network, we already have, so really, let's say the college, they say, you know what, we're paying you to get our information out on a regular basis. And so now they send in their press release. They have a new coach. They have a new player on their team. They won their division. All of that information now goes into NYC Newswire through their subscription. Now our editors are going in every day and they say, wow, okay, this is a great story. This is a college sports program, a college sports story. It goes on a college sports website. It can also go on New York City Sports Network, but it's in the Bronx. So it can also go on the Bronx website. So now that college is being seen by their community in a way that they've never been seen, but the college is paying for it. So really, they're paying for the Newswire, but we have the vehicles. We call our hyperlocal, we call NYC News Network. That's the tool. That's a tool to get the word out in their narrative. So it's their press release. We're not changing it. We're not opinionated. We're not saying it's good or bad. We're just getting out the information to their factual information coming directly from the source.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just getting it out to the people in their community by neighborhood, by industry, and by zip code. So when we put it on social media, we target it by zip code. We know if it's sports in East New York, we know people in New York, East New York would like to know about that high school
Right.
or college.
That's awesome. But when you talked about social media, so what like formats does all this go out in? I know you have the domain name, so web, social media sounds like. Do you do anything else like email, podcasts, anything like what else?
Every website has email lists. Email blast. So people sign up, and they sign up because they care about whether it's East New York, whether it's law, whatever that vertical is, they care about it. And I learned this when I had my cleaning business years ago. What we did is initially we cleaned every office. We just would mark it up. We just clean. When I said we clean medical centers or we clean factories, it changed everything. Because when we started cleaning medical facilities only, we had a team. We had teams that would clean medical facilities. We had teams that would clean manufacturing offices, a team that would clean beauty salons. And this is New York City, so every industry is there's a lot of clients. And when we separated it that way, our numbers and our clients went through the roof because people only care about what they care about.
Yep.
They care about even with NYC football, basketball. Football players don't care about basketball. Basketball players don't care about football.
Right. Yeah. The riches are in the niches, right? I imagine it tastes totally different to clean a dentist's office versus like I don't know, a restaurant or something like that. It's like a different thing. So that makes sense.
That's a good point because we also looked at who needs this service.
Mm-hmm.
In the cleaning, medical centers need the service. They can't do without it. So the same thing here. Who needs the service? College sports needs the service. People education. Everybody in New York City, there's no hyperlocal. Everything is big. That's why everything is, and everybody is clamoring for ads. That's why all of the headlines are sensational.
Yep. Clickbait or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
So it's 2026. I still got to remember that. It feels like 2025. 2026, so I got to ask you about AI because that's just what everybody's talking about.
Right.
So what are your kind of thoughts on it? Are you using it in any way? Like most everybody's using it somewhere, somehow, but I just like getting different people's takes on their thoughts and what they're doing with it.
Well, I think AI is good it's good for me because I have so many different websites and I'm creating this network and we do use AI. We use AI plus real editors. Mm-hmm. So it's a mix of every piece of content that we put out is coming from a real story. There's no AI made up article. Everything is from facts. And the editors, so let's say we have an article. It can go out on NYC. We put it on. It goes on NYC News Network, but we'll check. Okay, this article is good for EastNewYork.com. It's also good for NYC Sports. It's also good for NYC Politics. So with a few clicks, we put it in. The article is factual, and it goes out to all of the different platforms. And then the editors, what they do is they see the articles come in. If it's a cross article that's coming from someone else, not from that particular editor, it goes onto their website, but then they check it to make sure, the facts are right. It's, so it allows us to create more articles across the board that are relevant. So we're not just posting anything on every website, only what's relevant.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's what most people on the podcast say is a human on both ends and like some AI really helps speed things up kind of in the middle or whatever. What does sorry, I'm still just thinking about the team structure. So you're the CEO, you have editors. Do they all report directly to you? Are they kind of like on their own, like, kind of covering their vertical or?
They're kind of on their own. They report to me.
Okay.
And we have a senior VP and he's, involved as well. I'm kind of leaning away as we bring in more websites and launch more sites, even especially with partners, then I'm kind of moving away and just bringing more people in for checks and balances to make sure the content is right. And but it's mostly the editors that are in charge of, because it's like they're in charge of that vertical, whatever it is. And a lot of time, most of the time, these are people that were already writing. They were already editors. They were already running websites. So this is really just making their job easier because they don't have to worry about any of the maintenance of the website,
Right.
Technology. If we come up with something new across the board, it goes onto all the websites, and they also can generate revenue.
Yep, that's awesome. How that's kind of one struggle I've seen for folks like running these kind of companies is finding good people too. Like you said, some of them are running different websites. How are you finding like talent, or is it
That's
kind of
tough.
one off basis? Yeah,
That is tough. That is
right.
tough. So we look at we look first, we start them, off as writers, unless they already like there's a lot of people being laid off in New York City. Writers, editors, and I think right now they're looking for ways where, I don't want to get laid off again. So if we'll bring somebody in as an equity partner in that particular vertical, so they'll get ownership in that particular website.
Hmm.
So as an owner, now they look at it different. If we sell the company, you're going to get paid as a part owner. We don't sell a company; we split the revenue. So these are all benefits. These are things that they're looking for. Because as a regular writer or editor, I mean, you don't know your days are numbered, especially if you're with a newspaper.
Right. Yeah.
And if you're with a blog or a website, if they don't make enough money, then they just can't do it. There's a website in New York, I think it's the Brooklyner, I believe, but they that was a really good website, but they just couldn't make it. They just couldn't make it. There was no revenue there. But this is different because we have so many verticals, and we're a marketing company. I come from a marketing background.
Right.
So I'm looking at it from a different end. From a different lens. So that I think that is a big difference.
Yeah, definitely. So I didn't have this in the questions I was saying, but I'm curious because NYC Newswire, NYC News Network. I got to think through it before I say them both. They're pretty new, but like zoom out 5 years. You say you hit your 50 niches or communities by 2026. Like, if everything goes perfectly, like the way you want it, like what's this look like in 5 years' time or so?
Oh, I mean,
sorry, I sprung that on you. Sorry.
No, but it looks really promising. I think NYC Newswire in particular will change hyperlocal news in New York City. It will really change hyperlocal news in New York City, and adding and combining it with the niche websites that you really can't. It's hard to beat that. It's just hard to beat it, and that's why we're scaling, and the technology allows us to really scale quickly. And we have great developers. Our technology is good, so we're just tightening up the foundation, and from there we're just going to go full steam ahead. And I can see NYC Newswire being a newswire that people are using from all over the world, where if they're trying to come to New York City or reach the New York market. But our goal is really the small businesses and small agencies, connecting them actually to the people in their neighborhoods.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about New York too, is it's it's a city, but more of a global market too, potentially, as it grows and everything like that, because it's the epicenter of a lot of stuff,
Right.
Cool. Well, Vernon, I got through everything I had, man. Where can people find you? What should I link to? What do you want to promote? Anything like that? I'll put links in the podcast.
Okay,
after.
they should go Jig.
Right on.
Or they can even go to my LinkedIn.
Cool. Yeah, I'll link to both those, and I think you sent me some links before too. I'll link to all that stuff and kind of get the word out about that.
Because we really don't promote NYC News Network as such, because when you go to NYC News Network, all of the articles really send you to one of the websites.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
So what we do is we promote eastnewyork.com,
I
NYC
see.
Sports Network, but everything is under NYC News Network.
Okay.
But we don't really tell you to go to NYC Newswire. But it's because it's a network of sites, and the sites don't really live. You don't read an article on NYC Newswire.
That makes sense.
Per se.
That makes sense. And you kind of explained that. I probably could have picked that up, but yeah. Good stuff. All right, man. Vernon, this is awesome. I'll link to all that stuff. And thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it, man.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for listening to Small Press Big Ideas. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like to help the show, the best thing you can do is to tell a friend or colleague and just take a few minutes to leave a rating and a review on whatever platform you're listening to right now. It only takes a minute out of your day, but it really does help the podcast grow and reach more ears. Check back for new episodes every Monday.
This President's Day, upgrade the look of your home without breaking your budget. Save up to 50% site-wide on new window treatments at Blinds.com. Blinds.com makes it easy with free virtual consultations on your schedule and samples delivered to your door fast and free. With over 25 million windows covered and a 100% satisfaction guarantee, you can count on Blinds.com to deliver results you'll love.
Shop up to 50% off site-wide plus a free professional measure during the President's Day mega sale happening right now at Blinds.com. Terms apply.